So I'm going to show you how to make one of these rings today. And to begin, you're going to need a piece of cutlery that has this shape. You can get them in spoons, they come in all different variations. What one to use? So I'm probably going to use the spoon, and that's because it's a lot thinner, so it's going to be easier to work. So to begin with, just take off the spoon head with a pair of bolt cutters. I'm using 14-inch. So what you need to do now is turn this into a point. And to do that, I just get my bolt cutters and take off either corner like this, and then I'll do the rest of the shaping with a file. So you should have something like this at this point, pretty rough. Get yourself a file. So when you start filing, you want to start in one direction to take off any of the high points, because you'll notice if you start to file a rough edge like this, it will start bouncing and juddering. So if you start off from one direction to begin with, take off any of the high points, and then you'll feel it, you'll feel those rough edges, and once they're down to, you know, a reasonable level, you'll be able to start really getting in to a motion, and then you can check as you go, making sure that you're keeping it as symmetrical as possible, and you should end up with something like this. And then what I like to do is, because if you have a look, that's quite a sharp edge, so I just take the file, line it up like this, and then I just slowly put a face on this corner, so you're just getting rid of that sharp edge. So this is the side that I've taken the sharp edge off of, and then this is the side that hasn't. Don't know if that's actually showing very well, but you can see how that edge is far sharper than, say, that, and it just looks better, I think, in my opinion anyway. So now you're here, you do the same on the opposite side, line it up, just take off that sharp corner, while again trying to keep that margin the same on both sides. So you don't want to, you know, have a face here which is far larger than the face here, because that would just look odd when you come to finish. So put the face on there, like I say, making sure that you're keeping it the same as the opposite side. You can stop and check as you go. Just make sure that you're getting it pretty good. So now we need to remove this part, or a section of this part. And the way that I do that, again, is with the bolt cutters. Off it comes. And then the same thing, just use your file and take off that rough edge. Take off that rough edge. Again, one direction to start with. And then as soon as you feel it start gliding over, you can start going in both directions and get that smooth. Now you should have something like this. And the same with the arrowhead. We're going to take off the corner here, this sharp edge, and just chamfer that and put a bit of an angle on it. So if you get your file, and I just use my thumb as a guide here, and just run it across like this, checking as you go. Trying to keep that margin the same the whole way down. And what I mean by margin is, so you see this line here, I'm just trying to keep that even the whole way through. So every time you check, you're just making sure that that line is staying somewhat straight and even throughout. So then you should have something like this, and then do the same down this edge and this edge. And this is where you can really start shaping this corner here. So really pay attention to getting that corner nice. So keep checking on it, and you'll see how your two edges are now meeting up, and it sort of creates this corner. We're going to round this off slightly at the end, but you want to keep this line sharp. Now go over to the other side and do the same. And then once you've done all three edges, you should have something like this. Which I know this is still very rough, but this is just the starting stage. And then if you get some 1000 grit sandpaper, is I lay the sandpaper down on something flat, take the edge, see if I get a better shot of this, take the edge like this, and then I start sanding, keeping it at the right angle. You see the difference already. And you do that over all three edges, and then do the same on the arrow. Then what I like to do is take these edges back to the base coat, or sorry, the base metal, because the base metal is going to be a slightly different colour. So when you do come to polish, you'll have this two-tone, so you'll have the silver running through the middle, and it will have almost a frame all the way around the edge. And I really like that effect, so I just go around the edge with the 1000 grit, and I take it back to that base coat. And I know some people get a bit, oh, don't do that, that's awful, you should go to jail. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Now with 3000 grit, do the same thing, lay it down flat, go over all of your edges. And you want to take your time as you go through all of these grits. Make sure you're getting out any of these real big deep scratches, because it will make all the difference at the end, you see. And you want to go through 3000, and then you want to go up to 5, go up to 7, and finish with 10,000. So I'm not going to show you every single grit, I'm just going to show you the process. But I do this again with 5,000, 7,000, and then finish with 10,000. So I'm not going to add a texture to this one, but if you did want to add a texture to yours, like this one here, it's just a ball peen hammer. And while I'm on that subject, I've got 100 being manufactured actually with a much shorter handle, because who on earth needs a handle that long? Ridiculous. Better quality head, and I think it's slightly larger as well. Yeah, back to the ring. And then with this texture here, that one there, all I used was, this is a deburring tool that I use for my bending tubes to take off, or sorry, to deburr the inside. And I just turn it on, oh, not that one. I turn it on the lowest, and then you just, obviously I won't do it here, but you just run it across like this. And that's how you would add that texture there. But I wanted to make a plain one so you guys can see the process I make to get the ring done, and then you can always add the textures and designs yourself at the end to make it more your personal style. And then when you've finished with the 10,000 grit, I know this is a little bit worse for wear, but there you go. You should have something like this. And this hasn't been polished yet. So I'm just going to run this through the polisher both sides before I bend it into a ring, just so all the areas get a good polish. You can do this with a Dremel. You don't have to use a bench polisher, it's just because I've got one. If you don't, just use your Dremel, it's no problem. And then I use a polishing compound, which again, I get these on Amazon. I think they're about £8 for 3. They come in a soft, medium and coarse. I think this is the medium that I'm using at the minute. And the only reason I'm using a medium is because I've used all of the green and I'm too tight to buy another. So, this is once it's been polished. or the first polish. I will give this another polish when I'm finished. So you want to start off by bending this end. And then turn it round and bend this side. Remembering to keep your shank nice and level, because that will keep the bend nice and straight as you go. If you keep it at an angle, you'll start finding that it will warp. So keep it nice and straight as you go. Remembering to flip it over. And then start rolling each end towards each other. And when you get to about here, just make sure your arrowhead is pointed downwards and you've got a nice bend on it. And then go into the centre, about here, and just bring it round. Remember, flip it over to keep it nice and even. Make sure you're keeping your arrow in the middle. And then you're pretty much there, if I'm honest. Now you've just got to do your finishing polishes. I take it back to the bench polisher. Again, you can use a Dremel for this. You don't have to have a bench polisher to do this. I used Dremel for years. And then you just want to go over the outside of the ring. You can do the inside again if you like, but there's no damage, there's no marking. You're just taking over any light scratches that the shank bender may have added. Even though I use a nylon piece inside, you can still get some marks. So it's just good practice to run it through the polisher when you're finished. This is the finish, all polished up. And then what I do is, once it's been cleaned with some warm soapy water, which I've already done, I didn't get that on camera, I get some silver tarnish guard, which is this stuff. If you're wondering where the brush came from, because they don't come like that, they come like this. But I just drilled a hole in the top, pushed the paintbrush through, and then just glued it up here. I've gone through maybe 4 or 5 bottles with the same brush, and I just swapped the lids over, because you really don't need a lot of this either. This is such good stuff. Polish that in, and the way I like to use this stuff is I go over it once, go through the inside, and then I'll let it dry just for a second, and then you'll see it will smear up, and then remove those smears again with a clean cloth, and it will give you a really, really nice shine. So that's probably plenty of time. So you see how you've got some of these marks here? So now you can go across with a clean cloth. Obviously I haven't got a clean cloth, so imagine this is clean. Going across the whole thing, getting all these little smears and marks off, and this will be the finish. Is the finished result. So all in, I would say maybe 30 minutes, start to finish. The cost of the cutlery, maybe £1. Cost of packaging, maybe another £1.50. So all in, you're in for about £2.50 in half hour of your time. Something like this I would probably sell for maybe £25–30 free resizing. So you're looking to profit around £20 to £25 for half hour of your time. I think that's a very fair rate. And yeah, there it is. Have fun.